disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So U2 and Bono are in the news all of a sudden. And at first I thought, oh my God, this is going to be another Apple iTunes stunt that they're going to do and try to release the new iPhone. But you have to listen to their album like they did the last time. I thought it was going to be one of those things. So I was like, whew, thank God. But actually, I'm more cringe than ever because U2 had a concert recently in Vegas. And U2, as we know, especially with Bono, is kind of like the Irish drinking buddy of the deep state. He is definitely pushing the establishment agenda far beyond any other musician. I think of like U2 and Bono, it's like 21 Jump Street. Like, you think they're cool and, you know, hip and they got cool music and like, oh, they got a nice flow to them. And then you realize behind closed doors that it's actually a grown-ass man pushing an agenda, doing God knows what, and it's actually more disturbing the more you know about Bono. And people view him as this kind of like hipster because he wears the leather jackets. Maybe he's vegan. I don't know exactly personal about him, but he seems like that edgy person. But again, he's a deep state insider. He's definitely a psyop being controlled within the music industry to peddle much, you know, narratives of the mainstream media and the establishment. For example, like what happened in Vegas here at this concert, and probably the only thing happy that happened at this concert was that stage because it looks beautiful. I mean, look at that. I'd love to have a stage like that, like blue and the green. Be nice to have that kind of lighting. Maybe I'm just a little jealous because of the light setup I have here, but keep in mind, I'm doing this in the corner of my house. So. But here's what he said that shook some feathers, and this is involving Alexei Navalny, who's the CIA asset tool that got massacred in Russia. And here's where Bono took this.
So important that Alexei Navalny chose to give his up. Apparently, Putin would never ever say his name. So I thought tonight, people who believe in freedom, we must say his name. Not just remember it, but say it. Alexei Navalny. Alexei Navalny. Alexei Navalny. So important.
I'm being paid to do this. I'm being paid to do this. Raytheon pays for my music. Raytheon pays for my music. Oh my God. I used to get angered at people when, you know, they complain about musicians, you know, speaking at concerts, because you get the time where you're enjoying the show and then maybe there's a musician or a band that takes a second and be like, oh, I want to talk about the environment, or I want to talk about social justice. I want to talk about that. I used to, back in the day, hate the people that complained about that because I looked at them and said, well, they're individuals, they're allowed to speak. And then you see stuff like this, and now I understand why they complained. Like, come on. Really? Nobody in the audience gives a crap about this guy. No one in the audience, no one that listens to U2. And the few people that still listen to U2, and I'm not judging your music taste, I'm just saying that they're losing audience by doing this, has any idea or gives a damn about who this guy is. Because again, this is a CIA operative that was working in Russia that somehow was giving us freedom by exploiting the Russian people, exploiting further the disastrous war in Ukraine that we have already committed, that we're destroying the freedom of Ukrainians and the people around the world. We're exploiting them on a daily basis. Let's not forget Bono. While he's saying this, while he's saying that we got to push for freedom, is best friends with George W. Bush. Like, he cares so much about freedom and the lives and the safety of innocent people. He cares so much about the kids. Like, oh, when he does concerts about helping the kids, we got to feed the kids, we got to help them, make them secure. And you're friends with a war criminal. It shows what a joke this guy is. This guy is an utter joke to what a rock star would be. Let me show this again.
That Alexei Navalny chose to give his up. Apparently, Putin would never ever say his name.
You know who isn't saying other people's names? You, Bono. You know what names you're not saying? How about Julian Assange? That's currently being tortured and almost extradited and like the United States pouncing on him for being a journalist. How about Gonzo Lira? That was killed and captured by Ukrainian forces for being a journalist. Are you going to say their names? Are you going to say Seth Rich's name? Are you going to say the other people that have been killed and massacred for being journalists, for being investigators, to bring us freedom of information, freedom of expression, to remind us that we're constantly in a perpetual war machine that plays and manipulates people to slaughter each other for the advancement of the globalist class? Are you going to mention any of that? No. But because Putin doesn't say this, whoever this rando's guy name, you have to make a big stunt about it at a concert? Like, the people of Vegas are going to give a damn. The people of Vegas already are suffering enough with everything in between. They already have crisis on top of crisis. You really think that they're going to give a damn about some rando in Russia that apparently died for doing the due diligence of the intelligence community? Because that's the price of freedom, right? Pouring yourself out to the intelligence community and being an asset for them. That's the price of freedom. Pushing for more war propaganda. Wow. So, he does it again, by the way. He does it again. And this time, he took a moment to mention about Israel. And again, guess what direction this is going to go?
In the light of what's happened in Israel and Gaza, a song about non-violence seems somewhat ridiculous, even laughable, but our prayers have always been for peace and for non-violence. So, but our hearts and our anger, you know where that's pointed. So sing with us. And those.
No, please tell us where your anger, where your hatred, where you're pointing the finger at. Because chances are it's not the people responsible for this chaos. It's not the people that actually manufactured that horrible day, that massacre, that allowed for the continuation of this warfare, this genocide, this ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people. I bet you he's not pointing the finger at Netanyahu or Joe Biden or the war machine, the perpetual war machine that creates wars on terror frequently to have war on terror so we can have business on war on terror. Is he pointing the finger at that? No, probably not. But he has sympathy and respect for the hopeless lives of Israel. And we need peace and we need to have nonviolence. So why don't you say ceasefire? Why are you not calling for a ceasefire? Why are you not telling people that we should stop funding lobby groups like AIPAC? Why are you not preaching that? Why are you not pointing out how unethical that Israel, their occupation of Gaza. Why are you not pointing out the international laws that they're breaking? How about the fact that South Africa did a criminal investigation and pointed out the massive war criminality of Netanyahu's government when advancing into Palestine? Why are you not talking about the occupation, the military occupation of the people of Gaza? It's a freaking concentration camp. And you had the balls to say at a Vegas concert that you pretend to give a damn. I know exactly the finger I'm pointing at. I know exactly who I'm pointing to. But he doesn't say who's pointing to. And I bet you it's not going to be the people actually responsible for this. I bet you it's going to be the exact same goddamn line that you hear from mainstream media all the time and funneled by AIPAC because they own part of the music industry. They own part of the media. That's how big and corrupted this international lobby group really is. And if you really gave a damn about Israel, if you really gave a damn about anything or freedom or nonviolence or peace, then you'd be stopping the funding of this insidious lobby group that's used to go against humanity. That would be something a rock star would do. That would be something that a musician would do. I remember, looking back throughout history of music, when they used to actually be against the establishment. Remember being against the man? Remember that, you see documentaries or you hear about musicians of the 60s and the 70s that, sticking it to the man, that we did Woodstock because we didn't want to fight in wars. We don't want to listen to the oligarchs that are controlling us. That hippie days. How music went from that to this is unfathomable. It's like now he's being the cheerleader for the guy that massacred John Lennon. Imagine being that kind of prick. Imagine being the guy who's applauding the man responsible for the assassination of John Lennon because John Lennon talked about peace and love. Imagine me that kind of a prick. That's what Bono has become. That's what Bono pretty much is. And again, who's his favorite drinking buddy? A war criminal. So of course, makes sense. You being friends with a war criminal and pushing a career based on the love of war criminals, based on the love of the establishment, you're going to talk about this rando that said that gave us freedom, and we got to talk about how great he is and say his name in a concert, but not mention about Julian Assange, not mention about Gonzo Lira, not mention about Seth Rich, not mention about any other journalists that have suffered based on fact-finding and truth-telling to try to bring us to diplomacy. You don't mention any of that, but we're gonna remember a tool of the CIA. They work hand in hand with the music industry. So here's a real musician, Roger Waters of Pink Floyd. And Roger Waters is the kind of rock star that is still kind of that edgy rock star attitude because he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about what the establishment thinks of him. And he's going to speak passionately as an artist of what he really goddamn feels about Bono. And listen to what he has to say.
Anybody who knows Bono should go and pick him up by his ankles and shake him until he stops being a gentle shit. We have to start speaking to these people and saying, your opinion is so disgusting and degrading when you stand up for the Zionist entity. What he did in the Sphere in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, singing about the Stars of David, was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. Anybody who knows
Again, I used to hate the people that criticize musicians when they do stuff like that, but now I get it. Because when they do that little stunt there like Bono did, you know that they're pushing a certain agenda. You know that they're doing this to propagate some sort of motive by the deep state establishment. You know that they're not. This is not a personal philosophy of theirs. They're trying to elevate some sort of agenda to make a better career move for them. They're hoping that somehow, if we talked about Israel enough and talked about the Alexei Navalny or whatever friggin' name is, I don't even care at this point who is. If we talk about them enough and speak them at concerts, then hopefully we get another tour. Hopefully that Spotify doesn't delete us. Hopefully that, I don't get slammed for being an anti-Semite for saying that genocide is genocide. And critically analyzing a country that's being massacred on the behest of a settlement that was given to the British Empire for the exact notion of being a watchdog, being this predator against Middle Eastern countries. That was the whole purpose of Israel even forming, was they didn't want Middle Eastern countries to strive, and they needed some sort of grounding base for military alliance, for NATO, for other, globalist conglomeracies to gather together. And that's what Israel is. That's why they do data collection. That's why they have so many military bases. That's why we send trillions of dollars every year to bolster their military. Why? Because Israel is not more of a country. It's just a military base. And that's all that they're defending, is the military regime. It's the military industrial complex. You're not defending Jewish people. You're not defending the land of the Jewish people. You're defending the global military industrial complex that has plagued us throughout all of history. Since the dawning of us understanding the military industrial complex that Dwight D. Eisenhower warned us about. And now that Bono is perpetrating in his concerts. Like a good little musician. Unlike Roger Waters here, that's speaking from the heart and actually gives a damn about, safety and security and wants, all the fighting to stop. Actually cares about peace and nonviolence. Because he's actually reaching out to people to try to find a way for diplomacy. Has Bono done that? Probably not. No. But he'll say it at a concert and get a quick soundbite for it. So, Jackson Hinkle, I want to leave off with this. Jackson Hinkle makes the great point about this. As the deep state sheds crocodile tears over the death of their treasured CIA asset, Alexei Navalny, they are engaging in the legal imprisonment, torture, and murder of an actual heroic truth teller, Julian Assange. That is something that Bono should be recognizing. If he really gives a damn about freedom, if he really gives a damn about triumphs, if he really gives a damn about the triumphs of human life and caring about nonviolence and peace and how we need to find some sort of civility, then why are you not championing? Why are you not being there and exposing the harsh reality of imprisoning a journalist like Julian Assange? The fact that we're silencing out one of the most heroic people for exposing the truth, for telling us this information, this vital information that impacts us every single day. Why is Julian Assange's name being part of that set list? If you really give a damn. But if you mention about Julian Assange, then I guess you won't be hanging out with this guy. This guy, the warmonger. The guy who should be arrested. The guy you should be calling out and telling him he's bullshit. But no, Bono is not that kind of musician. He's not that kind of rock star. He's just a paid shill for the establishment. He's about as edgy as when Green Day took American Idiot and said that we're not part of the MAGA agenda. Ooh, that was shocking. That was shocking. That was so edgy that Green Day would be part of the mainstream establishment narrative instead of actually being the edgy rock group it once was. That's how compromised they are. But Roger Waters still holding high and calling out Bono and saying that we need to shake him. We need to take him by his ankles and shake him around and realize that you are completely full of crap. Because that is the kind of musician that U2 and Bono and most of the modern day music industry has turned itself into. Just a soundboard to push the narrative of CIA operatives, the deep state, and the rest of the establishment. To put us into more war, to put us into more, negative terms, to not find a way for peace, not find a way for justice, further divide us and keep us in line.